As we navigate the journey of life, particularly in our later years, we come to understand the quiet power of setting boundaries and choosing solitude. These decisions are not only about finding peace within ourselves, but also about honoring the space and comfort of others. The stories that follow reveal how these seemingly small choices, when to connect with others and when to embrace solitude, can bring unexpected contentment and harmony. In this video, we'll explore the lives of Mr. Lee and Ms. Lin, individuals who have come to value the strength that solitude and thoughtful boundaries can bring. Through their experiences, we'll uncover the benefits of mindful social interactions and see how choosing independence fosters personal well-being. Whether it's reconnecting with an old friend or deciding to prioritize personal peace over social obligations, these stories offer wisdom for us all. If you resonate with these insights, please subscribe to our channel for more meaningful content that inspires peaceful, fulfilling connections and a rewarding journey through life. Embracing boundaries and understanding the beauty of solitude might just transform how you connect with yourself and others. Join us on this path to self-discovery and fulfillment. Part 1. The Art of Respectful Distance. As we age, our priorities in relationships often shift, placing greater value on peace, simplicity, and meaningful connections. For Mr. Lee, this change became clear as he began to embrace solitude and quieter moments rather than seeking constant social gatherings. Once a man who thrived on activity and connection, Mr. Lee now finds himself preferring the simple pleasures of life, sipping tea, tending to his garden, and enjoying the occasional visit from close family members. These moments have brought him a profound sense of contentment, free from the social obligations that used to fill his days. This transition wasn't immediate. In his earlier years, Mr. Lee was the friend who organized gatherings, invited neighbors over, and rarely missed a social event. However, as he grew older, he began to notice that these gatherings, once a source of joy, were now a source of fatigue. The energy spent on maintaining a busy social life left him feeling drained rather than fulfilled. This shift led him to question the nature of his relationships and the value they brought to his life. It was through this process that Mr. Lee learned the art of respectful distance. He realized that not every relationship needs to be maintained with the same intensity. Some connections, he found, were best appreciated at a distance, where mutual respect and understanding could flourish without the pressures of constant contact. He noticed that many acquaintances were not true friends, but rather casual companions he kept in touch with out of habit. By creating a bit of distance, he was able to focus on nurturing the relationships that truly mattered. This art of respectful distance did not mean cutting people off or becoming isolated. Instead, it meant prioritizing his own well-being and creating boundaries that allowed him to feel balanced and at peace. For Mr. Lee, this involved small changes, such as choosing to meet friends at a neutral place like a cafe or park, rather than inviting them into his home. This arrangement allowed him to enjoy social interactions without feeling the obligation to host and entertain, a shift that brought him a newfound sense of freedom and autonomy. With this change, Mr. Lee also noticed an improvement in his relationships. The friends who remained in his life respected his boundaries, understanding that his choice to limit gatherings was not a rejection, but a form of self-care. This mutual understanding fostered deeper connections based on respect rather than obligation. In this way, Mr. Lee's friendships became more fulfilling as each interaction was intentional and enjoyable rather than merely a social expectation. Mr. Lee's journey teaches us that true companionship does not demand constant contact, but thrives on mutual respect and a shared understanding. In many ways, maintaining respectful distance can actually strengthen relationships, as it allows each person the freedom to engage on their own terms. This balance between connection and solitude is particularly valuable as we grow older, providing space to reflect, recharge, and connect more meaningfully when we do engage. At first, Mr. Lee worried that this newfound distance might lead to loneliness or misunderstanding from friends and family. However, he soon discovered the opposite. Those who genuinely valued his friendship were more than willing to respect his boundaries. They understood that his shift toward solitude was a personal choice, a way to live authentically and with intention. By allowing himself to be honest about his needs, he opened the door to relationships rooted in acceptance and mutual support. The art of respectful distance is about more than just physical space. It's about honoring one's own mental and emotional well-being. For Mr. Lee, it means feeling comfortable saying no to certain gatherings or invitations that feel burdensome. He's learned that prioritizing peace does not diminish his relationships, but enhances them. By setting boundaries, he no longer feels the need to apologize for preferring a quiet evening at home or a solo walk in nature. Instead, he is able to approach his relationships with renewed energy and appreciation. Through Mr. Lee's experience, we see how embracing respectful distance can transform our relationships in unexpected ways. Rather than being consumed by social obligations, he has created a life that reflects his values, allowing him to engage with others in a way that feels genuine and sustainable. His journey reminds us that relationships can thrive on quality over quantity, where every interaction is meaningful and both parties feel respected and valued. In the end, Mr. Lee's story highlights the importance of self-awareness and self-care in building lasting, fulfilling connections. The art of respectful distance is not about isolation. It's about creating an environment where peace, respect, and genuine companionship can flourish. By embracing this balance, we, like Mr. Lee, can find joy in solitude and deepen our relationships in a way that truly enriches our lives. Part 2. Social visits as unintentional disturbance. Sometimes, a simple social visit with the best intentions can unexpectedly disrupt another person's peace. For Mr. Park, a man who deeply values reconnecting with old friends, a recent experience made him realize that social boundaries are often more complex than they appear. The lesson he learned serves as a reminder to approach social interactions with caution and respect, especially when visiting others' homes. It began innocently. Mr. Park had moved into a new neighborhood and, to his delight, discovered that an old high school friend, Mr. Kim, lived nearby. Reuniting after decades, Mr. Kim warmly invited Mr. Park over for dinner, sharing laughter and memories of their youth. Mr. Park felt reinvigorated by this connection and saw it as an opportunity to reignite a long-lost friendship. However, this initial invitation led to a series of unexpected challenges that would teach Mr. Park the importance of social cues and the delicate nature of hospitality. After their first gathering, Mr. Park assumed he was welcome any time, feeling encouraged by the laughter and warmth he'd experienced. Over the following weeks, he began stopping by more frequently, often bringing homemade dishes to share. However, he failed to notice the subtle discomfort on Mr. Kim's wife's face whenever he arrived unannounced. Each visit became a quiet strain on Mr. Kim's household, though Mr. Park remained oblivious to the unease his presence was causing. The situation reached a tipping point when Mr. Kim finally expressed his family's concerns. One evening, as Mr. Park arrived with a freshly prepared meal, Mr. Kim took him aside and gently explained that his visits, though appreciated at first, had become somewhat disruptive to his wife and children's routine. He explained that they enjoyed having guests occasionally, but preferred to keep their home a place of calm and privacy most of the time. Mr. Kim's honesty surprised Mr. Park, who hadn't considered that his well-intentioned visits could be a source of discomfort. This conversation left Mr. Park reflecting deeply on the difference between genuine invitations and polite gestures. In his eagerness to reconnect, he had failed to read the social cues that might have suggested Mr. Kim's initial invitation was intended as an occasional gathering rather than an open-door policy. This experience became a turning point for Mr. Park, who realized that respecting others' boundaries is essential to maintaining harmonious relationships, even with close friends. For Mr. Park, it wasn't about simply reducing his visits. It was about changing his mindset. He recognized the importance of approaching friendships with empathy and understanding, allowing others to set the terms for social interactions within their own space. Social gatherings, he realized, should be mutually beneficial, creating a comfortable environment for all involved. By understanding the delicate balance between hospitality and intrusion, Mr. Park found himself re-evaluating his approach to friendship. This lesson extends beyond Mr. Park's story and into a broader truth about human interaction. Even the closest of friends have unique needs for privacy and personal space, and respecting these needs is key to a strong, lasting relationship. As we grow older, we may value our independence and solitude more, seeking peace within our homes. For many, their home is a sanctuary, a space where they can unwind and find comfort without the expectation of hosting others frequently. Visiting friends and family should enhance this space rather than encroach upon it. Reflecting on his experience, Mr. Park came to value the idea of quality over quantity in social visits. Instead of frequent, unplanned drop-ins, he began to appreciate the importance of planned gatherings, where both parties could prepare and truly enjoy each other's company without feeling encumbered by unexpected visits. This shift not only strengthened his friendship with Mr. Kim, but also taught him to be more considerate in all his relationships. He started to see how even small gestures, like calling ahead or scheduling meetups in neutral spaces, could show respect for others' personal boundaries. Through his experience, Mr. Park also became more aware of his own need for boundaries. He recognized that just as he was mindful of his friend's space, he, too, was entitled to his personal time and privacy. By establishing this mutual respect, he was able to foster deeper and more meaningful connections with friends, knowing that their interactions were built on a foundation of understanding and trust. In the end, Mr. Park's story illustrates the importance of intentionality in friendships. While social visits can bring joy and connection, they should also be approached thoughtfully, with consideration for the needs and comfort of others. Mr. Park's experience serves as a gentle reminder that good intentions alone do not guarantee harmonious relationships. It's the thoughtful acknowledgement of others' boundaries that truly strengthens them. As we reflect on Mr. Park's journey, it becomes clear that respecting social boundaries can be a powerful way to nurture relationships. By learning to observe and honor the unspoken limits that friends and family set, we foster a space of mutual respect, allowing our connections to flourish naturally. In the art of friendship, sometimes the best gift we can give is the simple courtesy of understanding when to engage and when to give others the space they need. Part 3. The unexpected consequences of frequent socializing. For Miss Lynn, an outgoing retiree with a love for neighborhood gatherings, socializing had always been a source of joy. Living in a close-knit community, she enjoyed spending time with neighbors and friends, often organising gatherings and joining her peers for coffee and casual conversations. Her retirement years felt vibrant and full of life as she embraced each opportunity to connect with others. However, a small but impactful experience would soon shift her view on the importance of privacy and caution in social settings. One rainy afternoon, Ms. Lin and a few friends gathered at her neighbour's house for a relaxed chat. During their conversation, the topic of family came up, and Ms. Lin mentioned a casual observation about her daughter-in-law, expressing that she sometimes wished her daughter-in-law would take more initiative in family matters. Ms. Lin's comment was not intended as criticism, merely a fleeting thought shared among friends. However, a neighbour overheard and later relayed her words, unintentionally amplifying them in a way that made them seem far more critical than intended. When Ms. Lin's daughter-in-law caught wind of the remark, she was hurt, believing that Ms. Lin harboured deeper frustrations with her. This led to tension between them, and her son felt caught in the middle, trying to mediate the misunderstanding. Ms. Lin was taken aback by how a single, casual comment had led to such unintended friction in her family. The warmth and ease she'd always felt in her social life suddenly seemed overshadowed by the strain this incident had caused at home. Reflecting on the situation, Ms. Lin realised that not every thought needs to be shared openly, even among friends. She became aware that frequent socializing could sometimes lead to unintended consequences when private matters were discussed too freely. Ms. Lin learned the importance of keeping certain family topics within her close circle, rather than sharing openly in casual settings where words could be easily misunderstood or passed along. This incident also helped Ms. Lin recognise the value of maintaining a balanced distance in social interactions. While she cherished her connections with neighbours, she saw that constantly engaging in social gatherings could sometimes blur the line between casual conversation and sensitive topics. By reducing the frequency of her gatherings and being more selective with what she shared, Ms. Lin found a new rhythm in her social life, one that allowed her to connect with others without risking unintended misunderstandings. Through this experience, Ms. Lin's story underscores the importance of discretion and thoughtfulness in social interactions, especially in close-knit communities. She learned that balancing social engagement with a bit of restraint could strengthen relationships rather than jeopardize them. Her new approach to socializing became a mindful choice to protect both her family's privacy and her friendships, ensuring that each interaction remained positive and respectful. In a broader sense, Ms. Lin's journey is a reminder of the power of words and the impact they can have on relationships. Being mindful of what we share and with whom can go a long way in preserving harmony within families and friendships. As Ms. Lin discovered, a healthy social life doesn't require constant interaction or unfiltered openness. Rather, it benefits from a thoughtful approach that respects both personal boundaries and the dynamics of family relationships. In the end, Ms. Lin's story serves as a valuable lesson in the importance of balancing social interactions. By being selective about the topics we discuss and maintaining a healthy social distance, we can foster deeper, more respectful connections. Her experience encourages us all to embrace the idea that sometimes less is more in socializing, and that maintaining a little extra discretion can go a long way in keeping our relationships both harmonious and fulfilling. Part 4. The impact of economic differences on social interactions. As people age, the economic differences between friends and neighbours can become more noticeable, subtly influencing social interactions. For Ms. Lin, who enjoyed visiting friends in her community, these differences occasionally surfaced during her neighbourly visits, sometimes leading to unintentional feelings of discomfort or awkwardness. Over time, she observed that economic disparities affected not only how people related to one another, but also the level of ease or tension in their interactions. Ms. Lin's experience highlighted the ways that contrasting financial situations can affect social dynamics, even among close friends. For instance, while some of her friends enjoyed spending money on activities like dining out or redecorating their homes, others felt uncomfortable with these expenses. In one instance, she invited a friend over for tea, who, upon seeing Ms. Lin's recent home renovations, grew visibly uneasy. Though Ms. Lin's intention was simply to share a pleasant afternoon, her friend's discomfort was palpable, as if her financial limitations were being inadvertently emphasized. These experiences taught Ms. Lin that, although she had good intentions, economic disparities could inadvertently create feelings of comparison or inadequacy. This insight led her to consider the benefits of more neutral and inclusive ways to socialize, ones that did not revolve around material displays or activities that highlighted financial differences. By opting for simpler gatherings, such as meeting at a local park or hosting modest get-togethers, Ms. Lin found she could foster a more inclusive environment that put everyone at ease. This realization encouraged her to embrace a simpler, self-sufficient lifestyle, one that brought her a sense of peace and removed any unspoken pressures of comparison. By focusing on meaningful interactions over material expressions, Ms. Lin cultivated relationships based on mutual respect and shared values. She found that her friends felt more comfortable and open when their interactions weren't overshadowed by differences in lifestyle or spending habits. Ms. Lin's story reveals a valuable lesson about the impact of economic differences on friendships, especially in later years. Choosing simplicity and independence allowed her to enjoy her relationships without the complexities that financial disparities can bring. By focusing on experiences and connections rather than material aspects, she nurtured friendships built on understanding and empathy rather than silent competition. In a broader sense, Ms. Lin's journey illustrates how living independently and embracing a modest lifestyle can create a foundation for more authentic connections. As we grow older, it becomes increasingly clear that genuine companionship and understanding are far more valuable than wealth or possessions. Ms. Lin's decision to prioritize a simpler life not only enriched her own sense of well-being, but also fostered a more supportive and equal social circle. Ultimately, Ms. Lin's story reminds us that friendships thrive on equality and respect. By embracing a lifestyle that avoids unnecessary comparison, we open the door to connections that are fulfilling, harmonious, and grounded in mutual appreciation rather than material wealth. Her experience encourages us to focus on what truly matters in our relationships: shared values, trust, and the joy of simply being together. Part 5. Solitude as a Path to Inner Contentment. Solitude is often misunderstood, especially as people age. Many see it as a sign of isolation or loneliness, but for those like Mr. Lee, solitude has become a path to personal peace and inner strength. Over time, Mr. Lee's preference for his own company grew, not out of a lack of social opportunities, but as a conscious choice to prioritize his mental and emotional well-being. This shift from frequent gatherings to moments of quiet reflection became a defining aspect of his journey toward inner contentment. In his earlier years, Mr. Lee was an enthusiastic socializer, always part of a group or gathering, enjoying the liveliness of human connection. However, as he aged, he began to notice that these social interactions, though enjoyable, left him feeling drained rather than fulfilled. He realized that the noise and energy of social events often overshadowed his own thoughts and needs. As he gradually embraced solitude, Mr. Lee found himself reconnecting with a quieter, more reflective side of himself that he hadn't tapped into in years. For Mr. Lee, solitude was more than just being alone. It became a source of empowerment and renewal. In his newfound quiet, he discovered the freedom to explore his thoughts without external influence, allowing him to rediscover personal interests he had long set aside. Activities like reading, taking nature walks, and gardening took on new meaning, becoming forms of meditation and self-care. Mr. Lee found that these solitary pursuits brought him a sense of calm and clarity that social gatherings couldn't match. In these quiet moments, he was able to reflect on his life, his values, and his priorities with greater depth and honesty. As Mr. Lee settled into his routine of solitude, he also noticed significant benefits to his health. Without the distractions and stresses of social commitments, he was able to focus more intently on his well-being. Simple routines, such as a daily exercise regimen, nutritious meals, and sufficient rest, became central parts of his life. By investing in his health, he felt stronger and more energized, which only deepened his appreciation for solitude. He realized that the quiet stability of his new lifestyle was helping him age with grace and vitality, free from the anxieties that had once plagued him in busier social circles. Beyond health, solitude offered Mr. Lee the invaluable gift of self-acceptance. In his quiet moments, he learned to embrace both his strengths and vulnerabilities, without the need to measure himself against others. He came to understand that self-worth isn't defined by social status or how many friends one has, but by one's relationship with oneself. Solitude allowed Mr. Lee to cultivate a stronger sense of self-respect and confidence, giving him the resilience to face life's challenges with a steady and open heart. Solitude also provided Mr. Lee with the opportunity to set personal goals that were meaningful to him. Freed from the distractions of social obligations, he began to explore passions he had long forgotten, such as painting and woodworking. These activities not only filled his time, but enriched his spirit, allowing him to experience a sense of accomplishment and pride in his abilities. This journey into his own interests gave Mr. Lee a renewed sense of purpose, proving that solitude is not a void to be filled, but a space to be celebrated and explored. Mr. Lee's experience sheds light on the difference between solitude and loneliness. Loneliness is an absence of connection, often bringing feelings of sadness and isolation. Solitude, on the other hand, is a deliberate choice to spend time alone, fostering an environment where one can thrive independently. By choosing solitude, Mr. Lee embraced the opportunity to cultivate inner contentment, finding joy in his own company rather than seeking validation from others. In a world that often equates social engagement with happiness, Mr. Lee's story challenges us to reconsider the value of solitude. As we age, the strength to be alone becomes an asset, providing us with the space to reflect on our lives, our goals, and our personal well-being. Mr. Lee's journey demonstrates that solitude can be a powerful ally, helping us develop a deeper connection with ourselves and equipping us with the resilience needed to face future challenges. Ultimately, Mr. Lee's embrace of solitude has made him more grounded, self-assured, and content. His story encourages us to view solitude not as an absence of social interaction, but as an intentional choice for personal growth and fulfillment. By finding peace within, Mr. Lee has cultivated a lasting sense of contentment, showing us all that the journey to inner happiness begins with the simple act of embracing our own company. Activities like reading, taking nature walks, and gardening took on new meaning, becoming forms of meditation and self-care. Mr. Lee found that these solitary pursuits brought him a sense of calm and clarity that social gatherings couldn't match. In these quiet moments, he was able to reflect on his life, his values, and his priorities with greater depth and honesty. As Mr. Lee settled into his routine of solitude, he also noticed significant benefits to his health. Without the distractions and stresses of social commitments, he was able to focus more intently on his well-being. Simple routines, such as a daily exercise regimen, nutritious meals, and sufficient rest, became central parts of his life. By investing in his health, he felt stronger and more energized, which only deepened his appreciation for solitude. He realized that the quiet stability of his new lifestyle was helping him age with grace and vitality, free from the anxieties that had once plagued him in busier social circles. Beyond health, solitude offered Mr. Lee the invaluable gift of self-acceptance. In his quiet moments, he learned to embrace both his strengths and vulnerabilities without the need to measure himself against others. He came to understand that self-worth isn't defined by social status or how many friends one has, but by one's relationship with oneself. Solitude allowed Mr. Lee to cultivate a stronger sense of self-respect and confidence, giving him the resilience to face life's challenges with a steady and open heart. Solitude also provided Mr. Lee with the opportunity to set personal goals that were meaningful to him. Freed from the distractions of social obligations, he began to explore passions he had long forgotten, such as painting and woodworking. These activities not only filled his time, but enriched his spirit, allowing him to experience a sense of accomplishment and pride in his abilities. This journey into his own interests gave Mr. Lee a renewed sense of purpose, proving that solitude is not a void to be filled, but a space to be celebrated and explored. Mr. Lee's experience sheds light on the difference between solitude and loneliness. Loneliness is an absence of connection, often bringing feelings of sadness and isolation. Solitude, on the other hand, is a deliberate choice to spend time alone, fostering an environment where one can thrive independently. By choosing solitude, Mr. Lee embraced the opportunity to cultivate inner contentment, finding joy in his own company rather than seeking validation from others. In a world that often equates social engagement with happiness, Mr. Lee's story challenges us to reconsider the value of solitude. As we age, the strength to be alone becomes an asset, providing us with the space to reflect on our lives, our goals, and our personal well-being. Mr. Lee's journey demonstrates that solitude can be a powerful ally, helping us develop a deeper connection with ourselves and equipping us with the resilience needed to face future challenges. Ultimately, Mr. Lee's embrace of solitude has made him more grounded, self-assured, and content. His story encourages us to view solitude not as an absence of social interaction, but as an intentional choice for personal growth and fulfillment. By finding peace within, Mr. Lee has cultivated a lasting sense of contentment, showing us all that the journey to inner happiness begins with the simple act of embracing our own company. Through solitude, Mr. Lee has discovered a life rich in reflection, self-discovery, and purpose. His experience is a testament to the beauty of living in harmony with oneself, an example that invites us all to consider how solitude might enhance our own lives. As he continues on this path, Mr. Lee's life reflects a quiet strength, a resilience and joy that only solitude can bring, reminding us that true contentment often comes from within. Part 6. The Joy of Mindful Connections. As people age, the value of deep, mindful connections often becomes more evident, revealing the unique joy that comes from genuine friendships. For Ms. Lin and Mr. Lee, cultivating relationships rooted in understanding and trust has proven far more fulfilling than frequent but superficial interactions. By choosing depth over breadth, they've found themselves enriched by fewer but more meaningful friendships, connections that uplift rather than drain. In her earlier years, Ms. Lin enjoyed a vibrant social life, filled with regular gatherings, coffee meetups, and outings. However, she eventually realized that many of these interactions, while pleasant, lacked the depth she truly craved. As she became more selective with her social engagements, Ms. Lin discovered that genuine friendships thrive not on the number of interactions, but on the quality of time spent together. Through fewer, more intentional meetups, she felt a stronger sense of connection and fulfillment that went beyond mere socializing. Similarly, Mr. Lee's shift towards solitude led him to appreciate the rare gift of companionship on a deeper level. Rather than filling his time with casual acquaintances, he prioritized connecting with people who shared his values and interests. His friendships became a source of encouragement and wisdom, offering mutual support rather than surface-level interactions. This change helped him see that the true essence of friendship lies in trust and understanding, where both individuals feel valued and respected. Ms. Lin and Mr. Lee's experiences emphasize that mindful connections bring a joy that is far more enduring than constant engagement. By investing in relationships based on mutual respect and empathy, they found companionship that lifted them up, providing a sense of belonging without the need for frequent socializing. They came to understand that true friendship doesn't require regular contact to stay strong. It simply needs a foundation of trust and shared values. The simplicity of this approach has allowed both Ms. Lin and Mr. Lee to find a more balanced, peaceful social life. Instead of feeling pressure to maintain numerous connections, they focus on the few that genuinely bring joy and comfort. By being fully present and intentional in these relationships, they foster a companionship that is rewarding and deeply fulfilling. Their friendships have grown richer, not through frequent meetings, but through a mutual understanding that each person brings value and meaning to the other's life. In a world that often equates quantity with success, their stories remind us that less can indeed be more. Mindful connections offer a depth that goes beyond surface-level interactions, creating bonds that withstand time and distance. As Ms. Lin and Mr. Lee have shown, true companionship is not about the frequency of interactions, but the quality of shared moments. This perspective invites us all to reconsider the nature of our relationships and to cherish those that bring lasting joy. Ultimately, mindful connections are a gift, one that brings fulfillment, comfort, and a profound sense of companionship. Ms. Lin and Mr. Lee's journeys encourage us to value these relationships, to nurture them with care, and to recognize that genuine connection lies in the depth of understanding and trust. Through mindful connections, they have found a joy that is simple yet profound, a testament to the power of choosing quality over quantity in friendship. Conclusion: celebrating independence and boundaries. As we navigate the later stages of life, embracing independence and setting thoughtful boundaries can lead to a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. The stories of Ms. Lin and Mr. Lee illustrate how choosing solitude, respecting personal space, and fostering meaningful connections enriches life in unique ways. Their journeys remind us that independence is not just about living alone. It's about making deliberate choices that honor our well-being and emotional health. Ms. Lin's and Mr. Lee's experiences underscore the beauty of finding contentment in one's own company while balancing meaningful interactions. By setting boundaries, they have protected their peace and cultivated relationships that respect their space and values. This balance allows them to enjoy both solitude and companionship without feeling pressured by social expectations. It's a lifestyle that fosters genuine happiness, demonstrating that independence and connection can harmoniously coexist when approached mindfully. Their stories encourage us to reconsider the power of boundaries in all aspects of life. Boundaries create a foundation for self-respect and healthy relationships, allowing each interaction to be filled with intention and mutual appreciation. By choosing connections that align with our values and dedicating time to personal growth, we nurture a lifestyle that is both enriching and empowering. In the end, Ms. Lin and Mr. Lee's journey invites us to see that true fulfillment often lies in the simplicity of independent living, combined with the joy of selective, mindful connections. They show us that living on our terms, whether alone or in the company of a few close friends, can bring a sense of calm and resilience that only comes from honoring oneself. As we reflect on their stories, let's celebrate the strength that independence and boundaries bring. In embracing solitude and intentional companionship, we can discover a profound sense of joy and fulfillment. Their lives serve as a testament to the beauty of living authentically, a reminder that true contentment begins with knowing our worth and cultivating a life that reflects it.